Hi! It's been exactly 1 year since Geometry Dash 2.2 was released on December 19th, 2023 at 8:27 p.m. Eastern Time. It took over 6 years to develop, got delayed by an additional 3 months, and still has some promised content missing. But I'm just glad that we finally got new stuff to play around with, because wow, this has led to a massive year for Geometry Dash and its community. We got some insane new custom levels, full games in platformer mode, official collabs, incredible mods, and so much more. But as much as I'm used to all this new stuff, it still feels like 2.2 just came out. So let's talk about it. This is going to be a pretty unorganized video. I'm just going to work my way down everything that's worth reflecting on. Starting off with the actual build up to the update, I can't say it went all that well. We were left in the dark for years as RobTop went through this endless cycle of adding half of a feature, then switching over to something entirely different. I totally get the excitement of adding endless new ideas to a game, but when there's only one person on the entire team, you really have to know when to draw the line and just ship what's ready. In this case, it happened during Geometry Dash's 10-year celebration, when we were suddenly given the release date of sometime in October. He did it! He finally figured out how to stop adding content! But then October came and went, and nothing. At the very least, a couple of the lead moderators were beta testing the update, and we got this cool trailer. It was also announced that the level Explorers was getting delayed, even though it was supposed to be the 2.2 level from the very start. But it was probably for the better because, seriously, this is some of the most pathetic gameplay I've ever seen RobTop cook up. Like, all the spider orbs are skippable, and this whole dash orb part is a joke. November went by and still no update, and this continued well into December. But fortunately, RobTop really likes releasing things around Christmas. He just can't resist those extra clicks from the holiday season. By December 19th, new beta branches were being released left and right, and the game's store pages even got updated with new screenshots and changes to the file size. I was at a supermarket while this all went down. I remember it so well. By that evening, I was just chilling when suddenly, he posted the tweet. Immediately I started live streaming, which just made more people realize the update was out, and honestly, it went really well. Mostly. The stream highlights and VOD are both public on my channel, so go watch that if you want all the details. I had a bingo card and everything. I also made videos on both Dash and the Tower, so I won't spend time covering them here either. As excited as I was to finally have my hands on the update, I have to say that I was a little disappointed with the amount of stuff that was clearly left to the last minute or got cut for time entirely. The map, versus mode, and event levels all didn't make it despite being some of the most hyped up parts of the update. There were also too many icons, so most of them just got straight up delayed, especially the UFOs. The rest were thrown in a bunch of shops, treasure chests, and other areas. You could tell it was last minute because the shops in the trailer used placeholders, and many achievements straight up gave the wrong rewards due to typos. One of them was even left blank. I was especially unhappy with how the 2 new shops were just crammed in the treasure room when they could have easily been in more unique locations like the basement, but now it's probably never going to get changed. Also, a couple new vault codes were added, like Back on Track and Give Me Helper. This is the Vault Keeper that exclusively spoke in riddles. That was the entire point of his character! But nothing suffered more than the Dash secret coins. If you look in the trailer, they were not placed yet, and even in the editor, they all use the most recent group IDs, so yeah, these were last minute. RobTop, you had Viprin playtesting this update. How did you throw this badly? I know I talk a lot of crap, but obviously there was way more good to come out of this update. It was just all tucked away in the level editor where it actually matters the most. Look at all this stuff! We got new objects, new triggers, reworks of old triggers, new properties, new tabs, old tabs that got deleted and shoved to the end of existing ones. You get the point. This was the largest editor update yet, and it's not even close. Going in, pretty much everyone I knew had the exact same fears with the 2.2 editor. People would probably abuse the heck out of shaders, or camera controls, or sideways gameplay, and levels would start to look more like TikTok fan edits. And we actually saw a lot of this with the early 2.2 private server. But the big difference is that when you have to go out of your way to install this buggy beta editor with new features, of course you're going to use everything it has to offer. This is just people messing around with the 2.2 stuff without worrying about rate standards or the harshness of the GD comment section. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that when the real 2.2 finally released, People just kept building 2.1 levels with a few extra effects here and there. Anyways, the biggest change to come out of 2.2 levels was the rise of the pixel style, which makes sense because we got dozens of new pixel tile sets to work with, and they all look extremely nice. The only problem is, when every level starts using them in the exact same way, they all start to mesh together and none of them feel special anymore. And it really doesn't help that they all adopt the same tropes to the point that I could basically predict everything that will be in a pixel level before I play it. Like, I might as well make a bingo card with things like pipes that teleport you, a tower that you go back and forth in, a free fly swing section, these invisible flip blocks which you should never use ever, a transition where a door closes behind you and then it fades out with a circle. I swear, pixel levels operate on a completely different set of rules. Why are we not studying this? Unsurprisingly, my only real issue with 2.2 levels is when people abuse shaders and camera triggers, because knowing when not to use them is arguably more important than knowing when you should. You have to sit down and ask yourself if it actually adds anything to the level. Otherwise, you're just dumping spices on it, which does more harm than good. I also don't really like that the physics changed a bit, and I'm pretty used to the old upside down ship gravity, even if it was caused by a rounding error. And I'm also not crazy about the new percent calculation that's based on time rather than position. It totally breaks for levels where the length can change, so there should be a way to go back to the old calculation, or an option to temporarily pause the level timer during cutscenes and skippable sections. That would solve 99% of the problems. But yeah, aside from that, 2.2 levels have been mostly great so far. New ones are rated pretty much every day, and I'm always very excited to check them out. By now, everyone's gotten the hang of the new features, so they're not rubbed in your face anymore. They're used when they actually add something, and that's good. Moving on to platformer levels. I mean, they exist. Play them if you want. I'm really glad that we got 4 official ones to start, since it helped set the bar for what would be rate-worthy. The standards are definitely a bit lower, but even after a year, I still think we're in a pretty early stage. Like, we still haven't figured out how to properly grade these levels, and who knows if we ever will. They're generally easier than classic ones due to checkpoints, but it's an entirely different skill set, so I'm glad they're separated in your stats. Browsing platformer levels feels like scrolling through old Flash games, and considering that both are primarily made by teenagers with minimal game design knowledge, I kind of love it. You've got your traditional rooftop styled levels, vertical tower climbs, the ones split up into a bunch of single screens, ones focused on a unique gimmick, entire games or Metroidvanias. Wait, did I already describe all of them? Seriously though, platformer levels are cool, but it's hard to talk about them when they're all so wildly different from one another. Also, they're way more of a time commitment, which sucks when you can't save and quit in the middle. I can't help but wonder if RobTop's already started picking out good platformer levels for the map, since it's probably gonna play out like their version of Gauntlets. Going forward, I hope to see a lot less of these lazy room-based ones and more actual interesting ideas. I'm also surprised by how few auto-scrolling levels there are, since the editor is practically built for them. My favorite example is the Lightning Road. No, not that one, since it basically plays out and syncs like a classic level. But each section is a short auto-scrolling platformer challenge. Mix that with the fact that there's no checkpoints, and yeah, it's a perfect hybrid of the two level types. I want to play more of these. If you want to check out my favorite platformer levels so far, they're in a rated list on my account. And same goes for the classic levels I like. This is a bit off topic, but lists are awesome. I love them. It's a great way to find new levels, great way to organize projects or series, and also a great spotlight for more unconventional levels that won't get rated. And yet you guys use it to make McDonald's orders. Okay, let's rapid fire through some other stuff that happened after 2.2. Like memes, naturally. I can't say I expected my hatred for the Dash Spider part to reach so many people, but I guess this is what I'll be forever known for now. You've also probably seen this guy once or twice, maybe in the sound library. Oh, and Rattledash. We're besties. If you don't like him, you are lying. Another thing that happened was people speedrunning pushing the limits of the update. You're telling me the gradient trigger can connect 4 dots together? Here's a 3D render, and an entire engine to go along with it. Tired of Geometry Dash? Build an entire game in platformer mode. Don't have a video editor? Use this Square game instead. We've only had this update for a year. Who knows what's coming next? Oh yeah, and the music library happened. Initially it was just a bunch of stock songs for platformer mode, but now it's a bunch of stock songs for Roblox tycoons. The NCS partnership is honestly awesome, and now we have more song choices than ever before. Just don't forget to appreciate all the other legendary artists that also partnered with Geometry Dash, like Camellia, Frums, MDK, KSI, Hatsune Miku, Weezer, The Wiggles, Scott the Woz? Okay, where are all these images coming from? Send me more. If I had to choose my least favorite thing to come out of 2.2, it would probably be YouTube, actually. Geometry Dash has been more relevant than ever, so there's been a lot of channels popping up that are clearly only in it for views. Like the most subscribed GD YouTuber is now this guy? It's kind of sad. There's so much more to Geometry Dash than OMG impossible level. But luckily, Shorts clout is completely fake, and in a year, nobody will even remember these people's names. As for long-form videos, I've been noticing a lot more of those slop channels run by people who don't even play the game. They notice that Geometry Dash gets views, so they pay someone to write a script, pay someone to read it, and then pay someone to edit the video. You know you found one when they're just reciting easily Googleable facts about the game, and the video starts with the word from. You know, like, from a top secret vault to a hidden treasure chest, here are 40 things you didn't know existed in Geometry Dash. Did you know that if you click this big button in the main menu, you can play a level called Stereo Madness? I'm using a lot of screen shake and Minecraft sound effects to keep you engaged. Sorry, I just had to get that out of my system. Don't support these channels. They don't even like Geometry Dash. They're just using it to benefit themselves. Alright, enough about real Geometry Dash. Let's talk about Geode, because I've always wanted a soggy cat in the game. Geode is the definitive mod loader for 2.2. It's actually existed since 2.1, but nobody really used it because all the mods were already made without it. So as soon as the update came out, all the developers immediately flocked to Geode. It's super convenient and it has a lot of tools to make modding easier. I would know because I recently taught myself how to mod Geometry Dash. I'm still a bit of a beginner since C++ is a tricky language, and it's even harder when you're dealing with a game that wasn't meant to be modified like this. But I did make this nice personal mod that lets me spawn custom text boxes and pop-ups and even chests. Anyways, the more experienced developers, who are all like 16 somehow, have been pretty much revolutionizing the game in so many ways. From level thumbnails to texture pack managers to an editor overhaul, custom keybinds, more demon faces, there's so much stuff I never knew I needed. The one that stands out the most is definitely Globed, which is literal multiplayer for Geometry Dash, complete with public lobbies and proximity voice chat. It's helped make this game a lot more social than it already is, and has paved the way for so much awesome new content to be made. Do I think all these mods should be in the base game? Definitely not. Some of them are too out of place, and others just have way more charm when they're community-made mods. Of course, the essential ones like hitboxes and practice music unlock have been slowly getting added to vanilla, but they all lack the customization that you get with mods. So yeah, modding is here to stay. I'm really glad we have it, and it's nice that there's no drama surrounding it either. Do I know you? Look, I'm not really qualified to talk about click between frames. I'm not a pro player by any means, so I don't use it. In case you don't know what it is, it's a mod that makes your inputs a couple milliseconds more precise by not waiting until the next frame to register them. I absolutely think this behavior should be in the base game, but until then, it is technically an unfair advantage. But if you don't care about playing Geometry Dash competitively, so to speak, and want the game to feel a little more responsive, use it if you really want. Also, before I move on, here's a couple more mods that I do want to see in the actual game. Cleaner start positions, quests and comments in the pause menu, actual textures for the letter blocks, golden percentage when you pass your new best, better song browsing, grouped objects maybe, platformer ghosts, and this one that adds TikTok mode. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is the recent update 2.207, since it feels like we're actually making progress towards 2.21, which should really be 2.3 at this point. These numbers make no sense. The main purpose of this update was to add support for event levels, which have since been used for the NCS album collab. I know event levels were supposed to come in 2.21, but I saw this coming from very far away. The event level menu was already mostly coded in, so all Rob had to do was add the finishing touches. And now, the system works great! All the creators have done an amazing job so far, and it's awesome that they get to make what's essentially the official levels for each song. I just wish we got events a little bit earlier, because a few weeks before the NCS album, Camellia released the song Rex as a so-called collaboration with Geometry Dash. The song is fire, but it just went right into the music library and everyone immediately forgot about it. I'm just saying, when a legendary rhythm game composer like Camellia makes a song specifically for your game, you gotta show him some respect. For comparison, the Rex album also contains a song made for the game A Dance of Fire and Ice, which they used for a tournament and then added as an officially endorsed level. Fortunately, this does seem to be how Geometry Dash plans on using events going forward, so there's tons of potential for their future. Like maybe we'll get collabs with other games. That would be insanely cool, and it's what I hope to see most. What really caught me by surprise was the rewards tied to events. To cut down on the number of icons that are still delayed, 20 of them have been added to special gold chests, which you can sometimes unlock after an event level. But that system pales in comparison to this guy, the Wraith. Yeah, so this is a brand new vault complete with a new character and visual effects that are 100 times cooler than all the other vaults. It really shows how much RobTop has improved as an artist. Like, look at how the lock wiggles, I love that. The whole gimmick with this vault is that it's not actually a vault, it's an online code redemption system. New codes can be added at any time, and the rewards range from a single mana orb to exclusive icons. This is a fantastic system on paper, but I'm a little worried that a few years from now, new players will immediately have dozens of codes to redeem. I'd like to believe that some of these codes will only be around for a limited time, like Space Gauntlet, but it's the icons that I'm a lot more worried about. Right now, whenever an event level releases, you can whisper its name to the Wraith for a free icon. But if these icons are supposed to be tied to their levels, why are they not just rewarded when you beat them? Claiming an event reward already spawns a chest, and it can't be that hard to add it to the ones in the safe as well. It just defeats the purpose of these event levels in the first place, since in the future you can get all their icons for free with zero effort. I'm just saying, if gauntlets can give icons, so can these. I'll take the free handouts for now, but it's a truly baffling decision. In other news, shortly after 2.207, Geometry Dash Lite got the Wraith as well. And also, all this. I actually love that Lite finally got online levels, since it was really weird that it was hidden away in a different app for the longest time. I suspect that GD World isn't going to last much longer, since it's pretty much useless now and it's just become another game to maintain. So expect it to be murdered sometime in the future, and brace yourself for the Dashlands to become lost media. Also, the abandoned GD World featured list has since been replaced with a new weekly rotation of 10 levels, which is kind of awesome. There's something for each difficulty level, and it's fun seeing which ones get chosen at the start of each week. And that brings us to where we are now. One whole year of people finally not asking for 2.2. Believe it or not, this also roughly marks 10 years since I first installed Geometry Dash, meaning that I've officially been playing this game for half of my life. And I couldn't be happier, because this is hands down one of the coolest and most creative communities of any game ever. I really am honored to be where I am now because of it. This channel will also be turning 10 in April, so I guess I'll have to find a way to celebrate that as well. Apparently my second video ever was a preview for a level that never came out, but it turns out that 10-year-old me actually finished the entire thing. So to celebrate 10 years of playing this game, I polished it up a little and uploaded it to my account. It's an absurdly evil troll level and you will not have fun playing it, but that's a problem for my past self. I have a feeling that 2025 is going to be a little more chill compared to this year, but I'm still expecting a lot of insane creations and accomplishments now that we're all used to 2.2. Hopefully we get 2.21 in the map as well, but like, you know how it is with this game. Right now, the main thing I want to see going forward is more quality of life changes, like a better achievements list, some reorganized menus, new settings. Once again, these are all things that people have been modding in anyways. So I also hope RobTop finally gives in and releases some tools of his own to make modding the game more accessible. Alternatively, he could start hiring modders, but it still seems like there's very few plans for it. So unfortunately, all the stuff RobTop doesn't want to fix will probably stay untouched for a long time. But look, whether we get updates or not, it'll be fine as long as the community keeps making stuff. If we survive 6 years of 2.1, 2.2 will be enough content for an eternity. And if you're watching this in the future when 2.21 is already out, hopefully you guys get 2.22 sometime this decade.